What's good in an effort to let you know how multifaceted I am. Um, if you aren't following, if you don't follow Big Joel, I know this is his Little Joel channel. That's more of his natural react stuff. Big Joel is his video essay stuff. Um, Adam something. He mostly does transit videos like why trying to reinvent the train is a stupid idea. Which if you don't know any of his stuff, please go find it or please go react to it. It's great stuff. Or just support what he's got going on. But I'm gonna go a little bit into this, and maybe not this video, but the next video about how this advice that he gives is really bad. But I want to talk about this specific thing he's talking about. To kind of give you some background, he made a video on he's saying like the left, which is actually a sentiment I agree with to a point. He's saying the left is the reason why Andrew Tate became a big thing. Um, and this is Big Joel's response, which is kind of crazy because like Big Joel was just an example used in that video, but I get how he's saying he's like, hey, if you're gonna use my name, stand on it, type stuff, right? But to kind of give you what I think Big Joel was trying to do is that in the clip that he gives, which he kind of does, he goes into it a little bit, right? He gives non-advice advice, right? So he tells you, he goes, yeah, this may be a bigger thing in the black community or whatever, right? But when someone asks you a question and you give them a semblance of like a very concise amount of advice, at the end you go, shit, that's just me though, right? To absolve yourself of any guilt on giving a specific solution to their problem. So that way, if it doesn't work out, you're not on the hook for it. They're like, I listen to this nigga. No. I said, if I were you, I'm not though. You still have free will. So I get kind of what he was doing. Like he was saying, like, I'm not giving you advice, but whatever. But it's his non-advice that is actually proving the point that Adam something has, that not giving advice at all is advice, and the reason why the right is eating the lunch of the left on young males is because they're, even if the advice is wrong, they came to somebody for advice. So let's go ahead and get into it. I got some notes. We're not going to do the entire video. I've got some notes on the topics I want to get on. So let's go ahead and start.
Adam something where he talks about me and talks about how people like me, presumably.
I'm gonna link both of these videos in the description so you can watch both. I am going to react to Adam Something's video later because he gives some terrible, terrible advice in that video, and maybe because I'm older that I'm like, oh my god, why would you say that, right? But neither here nor there.
Not just me. I haven't seen the video yet. Um, People like me are failing to help young men, and we're throwing people into the clutches of people like Andrew Tate. And this is kind of a first for me. It's not super often that a person, particularly a person on the left, will go through the work of writing and editing and recording a video where they disagree with me, and I think that's pretty cool. Like I like that. I like the idea of that. So what I'm going to do now, I haven't seen the whole video. I've seen a few minutes of it, but I haven't seen the whole video. I'm just going to walk through the whole video. I'm going to react to it. And I'm going to give my thoughts. So let's get into it. Let's get into Adam Something's video. Andrew Tate is the left's fault. Here's why.
Around the year 2016, I was a disaffected gamer bro. I considered myself to be a classical liberal. I hated those cringe feminists.
Okay, so he starts off the video explaining that he used to be a bit of a chud. He used to laugh at feminists and stuff, but then he became dark woke.
Fast forward to 2025, and most of those classical liberal types I used to listen to have become white nationalists. I, on the other hand, have chosen a different path and became dark woke.
Which means that he is, I guess he's normal. I guess dark woke is normal. He likes... One second, let me see what dark woke means.
I'm a progressive. I am pro-LGBT, I am pro-feminism, and I laugh at Big Red, I laugh at Trigglypuff, and I laugh at Humongous.
Okay, so dark woke then means that he's a feminist and stuff, but he still gets mad at, like, feminists who he thinks are stupid or something. Okay, we're skipping.
Okay, so this is going to be one of my biggest critiques on people on the left, right? It's this, like, and I'm not calling them out because, like, I watch this content every day. I love them, right? Papa Gut does this a lot. And I'm going to react to some of this stuff later, right? I hate how non-committal they are to misunderstanding or understanding something. Let me give you an example, right? What he just did, where he said, like, I guess, like they have an opinion and they'll throw in it's just if that was me though to and almost every statement they do in order so they because they don't want to make an affirmative on anything. That's one of the big problems that the left has that the right doesn't. The right is confident and wrong and loud. When you're confident, wrong, and loud enough, you get enough people who are just like, yeah, he was wrong on the first time, but he said so many things so confidently, I don't even remember the first thing he was wrong about. Now he's right because he said 400 things after that wrong thing, and he said it very confidently. People on the left want to make sure they're not hurting feelings. They want to make sure they're not stepping on any toes, and in their attempt to do that naturally, like it's not that they're doing it on purpose. I just believe that's how you get on the right. That's how you get on the left. That's why, like, I would assume if I got to talk to Bosch, like at any point in my career, my YouTube career, if I got to talk to Bosch, he'd say the same thing. If you watched his older videos, he would go, "Look, if I'm being honest with you, some of the stuff I used to say sounds so stupid now that I'm older because I've had a chance to understand and live and be in the real world that you can't just be non-committal on everything. You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for everything. And if I'm trying to cultivate an audience of young people who think the same way I do, I've got to give them some sort of something to hang on. If I just say like, oh, if every statement ends with I don't know, then nobody will ever take you seriously. And I know this sounds huge for me to take from just as a small thing. If you watch a lot of Big Joel's content, man, he's so good when he's speaking with it. Like when his video essays, oh my god, he did one on thalassophobia. Oh my god, he was in his bag the whole video because he's confident in that. But now, because that thalassophobia video doesn't have anything to do with people in general, um, but this has to do with a person who can exercise a viewpoint he has and then come back to him and tell him how that affected him. And I don't think he's built for that. It's my problem with leftists in general that they're not built for the actual trials and tribulations. What right leaning people are outside. They're wrong and they're outside. They're loud, they're wrong, they're confident, and they're outside. Left leaning people are quiet, timid, thoughtful, and inside. That's what makes it so hard. Like you might have what I consider the right politics, but you're in the house. You know,
Looking forward here to him talking about the subject of this video, which is dating advice, and that seems to be where I jump into the picture.
I was doing something which sometimes worked and sometimes didn't, but I wanted consistent results. I didn't just want to sleepwalk through my dating life and hope to stumble upon someone good.
He was doing okay dating, he was doing fine, he was finding girls that liked him or whatever, but he wanted to quantify it in some way. I'm not really sure. Like, he wanted to break through the system, understand the matrix. He wanted to figure out the ins and outs of dating. And that's where the problems sort of begin, I suppose.
Both the left and the right offer dating advice, and so I first asked around in lefty circles, hey, how do I score a good girlfriend? Actually, the term scored is deeply problematic because it presupposes that the woman is just an object. Okay, fine, forget I said anything. Meanwhile, on the right, dating advice was essentially variations on Andrew Tate type boomer conservative BS.
Okay, so the point that he's getting at here is that the left gives bad dating advice because all they do is scold men, which I don't know. Do I scold men on wanting girlfriends? I didn't know that I did that. If I did that, then I am sorry. And then he also says that the right.
Right. Hold on. So a little bit later on, he realizes that this isn't what he's trying to do. But see how it is? What he's saying is like, we give bad dating advice because all we do is this thing. I don't think I do that thing. There's no absolutes. Not everybody scolds men. What he's getting at, which again, he may not know, right? I don't know Big Joel's dating history. I don't know if he's married, I don't know if he has kids, any of that. I watch his video essays, but I'm not in tune with his life, right? But if somebody says like, and and this is anecdotal, when I interact with left-leaning YouTube, it is a lot of, here's what you're doing wrong, here's how you get better, here's whatever. The right is like, you're not wrong, you've never been wrong, everybody around you stupid, whatever. What feels better? Working on who you are as a person? I'm just talking about it from a surface level. People take the that's why not everybody has that. Not everybody has a six pack because that's difficult. It's easy to be fat. It's really hard to have abs, right? If somebody tells you like you have to work on yourself at every interval, you're the problem, or somebody on this side is just like, it's everybody else. You're awesome. Yell at somebody until they like you. Who do you think they're going to take advice from? And him saying like, oh, everybody, stop, man. This is what he meant. He meant that this non-committal attitude is what makes people on the left. That's what I said. Like, I don't keep saying boss, right? But like, as I've seen him grow in his content, he's become much more of a normal human being. And I know it's crazy to say because normal is subjective, right? But he's become much more like, at first he was like, everybody's a problem, I'm right. He goes like, man, a lot of people just can't be reached. I am going to take steps to try to reach them, but if you just aren't going to be able to get on board with what I'm talking about, I got to leave you behind. I don't have time to talk to all these people who don't want to give the program. I need 10 or 12 people who are locked in and ready to go, or who can be persuaded. And I think if you had more people like that, beside the lolly horse stuff he's got going on, which teach his own, right? That's a different conversation for a different video. But that's a good outlook to have on someone who can get things done. They're saying like you can't drag people who don't want to be dragged, but you also need to be the one dragging.
Right gives bad dating advice because it's all macho, stupid, empty, vapid bullshit, which I do agree with to whatever extent the right gives dating advice that's like right coded or whatever. Usually it's pretty unhelpful and is just saying like be a dude, be a man, get ladies, right? That's all they say for the most part.
Okay, to be fair, there was more to the left than people just, woke scolding you about the problematic words that you're using. Some people did give you genuine dating advice. Too bad it was all terrible.
Oh, okay. So he's not saying that I just scolded men that wanted girlfriends. He's not saying that. Rather, he's saying that I did give dating advice to young men, but that it was bad advice. I give shitty, bad advice. So, and this is really the beginning of my interaction with the video. I give bad dating advice. So let's see it.
I don't really think that self-help online advice is all that helpful to people because I think you already know all the advice that anybody on the internet could possibly tell you. Young men, do things that are good, in your opinion. Do things that you think are good. I don't imagine that I have a better answer for what those things are than you do. You know yourself, but, of course, you know what those things are.
So wait, can I just say something? That's not me giving men advice, right? That's very much not an example of me giving young men bad advice. That's me giving men the opinion that I don't think that I have advice to give them. That's not advice. And I want to defend my kind of anti-advice position here because I understand that that's probably the most tendentious part of what I'm saying and probably the thing that he's responding to. So the problem with advice on the internet, particularly very broad advice, like how to find a girl that you like, the problem with that is that most things in this world that are worth doing are a lot easier to say than they are to do. Most of us, I think, are aware of the fact that if we want, great dating options, that we should try to be as sexy as possible, which means, maybe doing some lifting or losing some weight. I don't know. Most people know that if you want to meet people, the better option is to put yourself out there over not putting yourself out there. Most people know that putting your own life in order and doing things that are good for your body and your soul and your passion and your love, these are the things you ought to pursue in life. The thing is, all of those ideas are really easy to say, and the actual doing of them is the hard part. The day in, day out commitment to bettering yourself as a person, putting yourself out there, approaching the girls you want to date, shooting your shot. These are ideas that are obviously advisable, and I guess I'm giving you the advice to do them, but at the end of the day, after I've said that advice, after I've said the advice, go out and do these things that are good for you, work out, groom yourself, put yourself out there, then my role as an advice giver is kind of inherently done. And what's left is you reckoning with yourself. And that's something that people on the internet, people giving dating advice, they just can't really offer you that well.
Hold on. I hope you caught it, right? In 1 minute, he did the thing that he doesn't think he's able to do. And I hope at some point this reaches Big Joel in some way, some form or fashion. And I love it if you reach out so I can explain exactly that. That's the point, right? He said, okay, bettering yourself. And I know it's going to sound stupid because in his brain, it sounds logical, right? Just the same way as like there's somebody who owns a yacht right now who thinks that all you have to do is get a loan of $1 million, invest that in S&P 500, disregard safety regulations, and then trick a bunch of people and give you more money and then build a course and you could have a yacht. It sounds completely obvious to him because he has the yacht. It doesn't sound obvious to us because we're not terrible people, right? But Big Joel is saying, I'm not saying Big Joel's a terrible person. I'm saying that what he's saying is like, work on yourself, work out every day. Every day is effort. It's going to be hard, but you have to try every day. If you want to be, I said it in my video about loser maxing, my first loser maxing video, because I'm gonna make a series out of it, right? It's your everyday effort that defines what you can ask for other people. If you want to date somebody, would you date the person that you are? Would you date the person you want to become? And if the answer is no, I wouldn't date me now, but I would date who I want to become, you become that person. You work out, you become learned, not just like learned as in like go to school. Like the problem with the left is they think that education is solely based upon the university degree you have, right? And the problem with the right in general, right, left in general, right in general, is that they believe real world experience is the only thing that can make a person. It's something in the middle. Learn what you can from every source, then apply that into your every theoretical knowledge is something that the left values. Applicable knowledge is something that the right values. Take both of those things and be the better person, be the renaissance man or woman that you decide to be. That's the advice that he basically just gave. That he said every day is effort, and it seems common to him because he's confident. He puts videos out. He has a couple 100,000 subscribers. I think he has like 1 million on his first channel and 200,000 on his actual secondary Cooling It channel, right? This is something he's had to overcome, and it's become commonplace to him. He is the yacht owner, right? And he doesn't understand it. It's not commonplace for all people. There could be a 13 or 14 or 15 or 16-year-old out there who's looking for somebody to help, even if it's when they say measure twice, cut once. You have to treat people like they're measuring twice. They may think they know what they want. They may know what they want. They're looking for somebody to justify or orient them for that cut. And the right has no problem cutting. They don't even measure twice. Measure, no measuring. No measure once, no measure twice. Cut. You cut once. If that's the wrong thing, you tell everybody this was actually the right thing you were going for. Oh, you needed a 2x4, you need a 4x8. That's just the way they operate. Adam something's trying to tell you that you're battling against a person who, and I've heard it, right? Like, I'm gonna react to this later. Myron, in a video he had where he talked about he was talking to a Division I tennis player, and he said that your Division I tennis isn't as hard as my Division I rowing. But that wasn't the original conversation. The original conversation that Myron said that this guy wasn't worth a damn because he doesn't know what physical exertion is like. So he moved the goalpost because at first he didn't even measure twice. He didn't measure once. He didn't ask the person, "Hey, are you an athlete?" He just said, "I assume you aren't because you're on the left. So once I found out you are, now I've got to move it further back in order for me to still be right." But somebody's going to understand bravado. Like he's going to say like, "Oh yeah, I thought that Division I tennis and Division I track. Oh my God, he did both of those. Well, they're not as hard as rowing, so Myron's right." But if you took a second to go like, he played two Division I sports. Myron flunked out of his first Division I school and went to a second Division I school. I didn't say he didn't flunk out. He said he used Central Connecticut State as the springboard to get into the school he actually wanted to go to. So old boy could have said, "Hey, so you weren't good enough to get into your first choice. You had to actually use a second choice to get into your first." Coward shit. But the right doesn't. They didn't even hear that. They only heard that like rowing is hard. It is demanding. It is a team sport. Tennis is hard for its own reason. He let Myron talk him around where he should have been. And some kid out there is going to hear like, yeah, my thing's harder. No, these are both difficult things. They should both be praised as such. But they're going to be oriented for the guy who they felt won.
I don't know you. Adam something doesn't know you. Okay, we can't speak to the particular needs that you have. We can't speak to the particular issues that you have, finding the things that you need in the world, because that stuff is particular to you. This is the problem with something like online dating advice. A lot of it is fine. A lot of it says stuff that's obvious to you, and I'm sure it can be helpful if you haven't heard it before. But at the end of the day, the real meat and potatoes of living, it belongs only to you. It can only belong to you. And most people on the internet who make money off of giving you advice aren't actually helping you that much to achieve the goals you want to achieve because they don't know you. And to be clear,
I apologize for stopping so much, but I'm very passionate about this. He's saying like they don't know you. That's not the point. The point is you're not talking to an individual. When you make a video on, oh man, he has so many good videos. He made a video on Bioshock a long time ago, stuff like that, right? And when you're making a video like that, you're hoping to speak to somebody. That's what you're passionate about. You made that video to hope to speak to somebody, to reach somebody. What Adam something is saying, like, and he's gonna say this later on in the video because I actually agree with him. He's saying like he's not a leftist dating guru. Why is it his responsibility to be a leftist dating guru? It's not. But he can be the guy who directs you to that. And Adam something maybe I can't think of any leftist who champions like FD Signifier does, like where he has a nuclear family. but he constantly rails against that while having that. Now, that's one of the issues I have with him, right? But there's no leftist dating advice guy who you can direct them to that I know of. But there are a bunch of right leaning. You pick any right leaning channel, they're going to tell you nuclear family, no such thing as racism, whatever. The talking points are pretty etched in stone, right? He's saying, like, yeah, you're not talking to an individual. You're talking to someone you hope to inspire. You're talking to a group.
You can disagree with my opinion on this. That's fine. It's totally fine. If you find people on the internet giving you really wonderful advice and you think it's useful to you, that's fucking great. That's great for you. But my point is that the self-help economy broadly, the economy around telling men that we can tell you things that will make it so much easier for you to find loved ones, because the problem is a knowledge problem. They're selling you something. They're literally selling you something. Because the problem, for the most part, especially after a certain point, is not a knowledge problem. It's an action problem. It's a motivation problem. It's a wrestling with your soul problem. That's my opinion. Anyway, he plays another clip of me now, so let's watch that. This video is not my way of saying that all advice on the internet is bad and that the people who are giving it are all grifting you and that there's no place for it. I don't believe that. I just think it's an extremely small part of a network with things that are vastly, vastly more important than it. The amount of impact that some guy on the internet will have on your life when they give you advice on how to get motivated or whatever is, I think, fairly small in the grand scheme of things, and that's my point.
Wow. I'm sorry, I like Big Joel, I like his videos, but this type of stuff does not help anyone.
Unfortunately for all of us, I do agree with what I said in that video. Like, I can't take it back. Like as I said, I'm not against all advice. I'm not saying that everyone who gives any advice is stupid. I'm sure that a lot of value has been gotten from looking up on WikiHow, how to get a girl, or like how to know if a girl likes you or whatever the fuck. Like, I'm sure that this has happened a lot. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. But at the end of the day, yeah, if somebody is spending their time giving you advice and like coming up with like a corpus of advice to give you, and it's like long and it involves you giving them money in some capacity, yeah, it's probably not going to be that helpful, right? Because there's not that much really, really good advice that a person on the internet is going to give you. I also do frankly think it's a bit odd that he put up all those headlines of like all the men flocking to Andrew Tate over me saying that. Because at the end of the day, I don't think I can give you very meaningful dating advice.
And he's doing main character syndrome, right? Like, I'm gonna give you two insights, and this could be, again, I'm using main character syndrome right here, right? Big Joel in those clips looks like a homeless, crazy person, right? Hair is disheveled. He's wearing an excellent sweater. Love the sweater. Hey, tell me where you got it, right? Hair is looking like trash. You go ahead, trim it up like you have it now, right? Beard is disheveled, right? Andrew Tate, bald, right? But he embraced it. He shaved it bald. He got the beard locked up, tatted up, smoking a cigar in a robe, looking like he's successful. It's the appearance of that success that makes him worth listening to for people who are listless and aimless, right? If listening to it, Albert Einstein would probably be taken more seriously if he was trimmed up or whatever, right? But it's one of the things that when somebody tells you to go to an interview and you would think it was asinine if someone said, I can look however I choose to look at my interview, and if they don't like how I look now, they won't like. No, you understand the value of presenting yourself in a way that's taken seriously in the sphere in which you want to be taken care of or taken seriously. And then I get it. You're saying you're not a dating guru, so you're not worried about that. But your title, Have I Doomed Boys to Andrew Tate, it's hyperbolic because he's not specifically targeting just you. He's saying people on the left don't give committed, serious advice to people. They give non-committal, if you already know it's the friends we made along the way advice, and it doesn't work for people who want a solution, even if that solution is bad.
I don't think that there is such an online person who's going to give you sort of earth-shattering dating advice. And I don't think Andrew Tate does either. And to be honest with you, I don't even think that's what Andrew Tate is trying to do. If you ever watch Andrew Tate streams, if you ever like see the things he says, even the things he says about finding a girl, they're not like valuable information that you can like put into practice and which will change your world. I fundamentally reject the hypothesis that the reason why Andrew Tate is popular is because men are just desperate to find dating advice and they can't find it anywhere besides Andrew Tate, because Andrew Tate is not offering like pearls of wisdom. He's just...
I guarantee you he hasn't asked anybody, right? People, once you get to a certain sphere of how far right or how far you are, you don't really interact with people on the other side. If you, I'm not saying I know, right? Because like I said, I'm the most left-leaning person at work. I'm the most right-leaning person in my friend group, right? I can just tell you from being in those two worlds every day, whatever, right? Yes, Andrew Tate is not giving any good advice. Everything he says is terrible, but is he telling you confidently and is he telling you consistently? That's what they're saying. Does he have a Bugatti? If somebody told you they drank piss every day and they told you in their mansion, and that if they said, the reason why I'm so successful is I drink piss every day. Somebody out there is going to think, well, I don't drink piss and I don't have a Bugatti or a mansion. And that's what and now I get it. It's hyperbolic. I'm not saying that again, I don't think Big Joel has anything to answer for. I think that the fact that he's answering for it is the reason why you can critique him on it, right? Like him being hyperbolic and saying, I'm not the reason that, no, he didn't say specifically you. He used an example of bad advice that the left gives, which that's what you should tangle with. You're saying like you as a person are giving bad advice. Is your non-advice bad advice? Is the question you should be answering.
Saying like, yeah, get strong, get stronger, do strong stuff.
Actually, I don't care how you get it, but how should a guy get a girl?
Oh, how should a guy get a girl
So
in
you're
general?
not talking-
There's a really long answer to give there, but truthfully, it doesn't matter if it's getting a girl or it's making money or it's getting status. It doesn't matter what it is. As a man, we live in hyper-competitive environments. I don't think enough men understand how competitive the world is. If you want a girl, you're competing against other men. You're not the only man who had the idea of getting that girl. There's no girl you're going to see and go, oh, I'll get that girl, and didn't cross anyone else's mind. Everybody else wants her. You have to outcompete other men. You have to be as competitive as possible.
Because of this, I want to make the argument that the reason why Andrew Tate is, or really was popular, I don't know if he's as popular anymore, but the reason he was popular isn't because he gave advice, but because of the far simpler reason they like him. They like the thing.
Stop. This is how you absolve yourself of any guilt, right? What he just said is the Andrew Tate clip he just played is something that a young man would think. He would think, hey, I'm gonna make it simple. He's saying, you're not the only guy who wants that girl. Here's a list of things I think that can get you that girl. It's committal. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. He's saying exactly what he thinks will get that girl. For somebody who doesn't have any idea of what they should do, they're going to try that first, right? And if you try one bad thing first, it may be all you need to try bad things forever, right? Or you may never get the opportunity to try things well because you're going to a spiral of where you try one bad thing and you double down because he can't be right. Nobody else is telling me. Nobody else has a Bugatti,
Things he says. Andrew Tate entertains people.
But this type of stuff does not help anyone.
Okay, that's
So I
just
got
not
one
at all
thing.
what I'm saying.
Hold on.
Like, that's
Gonna
not
hit
what I'm saying. I'm not saying the fire will just put itself out. You don't need to worry about
Oh,
the
this
fire.
is really a bad
Like,
analogy.
your
I'll
house
play
is on
this.
fire.
From the reason he was popular, I feel like there's this constant refusal to reckon with this fact. There's this constant need to pretend that what's missing from the internet is dating advice, and that if we simply had enough of a scaffolding of dating advice, nobody would be interested in Andrew Tate. No, Andrew Tate is not offering dating advice. Andrew Tate is offering his lifestyle. He is offering
Life advice.
spectacle.
He's
He's
offering
offering,
life
in a
advice.
certain sense, good videos, entertaining videos. So why would the
With
solution
advice
to the
in them.
problem be give really specific dating advice? That's not what Andrew Tate does. Do you see what I mean?
Wow. I'm sorry, I like Big Joel, I like his videos, but this type of stuff does not help anyone. It's like your house is on fire and you're locked inside with a fire extinguisher and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? How do I use this thing? And Joel is like, I think you should first consider that the fire is just a natural exothermic reaction which will go out at some point. You know, the fire will stop at some point. So I wouldn't really worry about this long term. I think you should look inside and figure out what feels like the best course of action in this situation.
Okay, that's just not at all what I'm saying. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the fire will just put itself out. You don't need to worry about the
I just think that was a terrible example. It's not one-on-one analog. You getting girlfriend right now is not your house burning down. You don't have to solve that problem immediately, right? So I don't know how you can correlate. And I'm a person who uses hyperbolic statements, right? There's not all of them hit. Trust me, I got one of my buddies love that boy to death, love that man to death, right? He'll be like, no, not one of your best works, or he'll be like, wow, what, you know? So I know if I run a metaphor assembly by him, he'll give me a good reaction. Like the fire isn't not having a girlfriend isn't immediate. You want one, but it's not. It would be more like, how do I get in shape, right? And then nobody's giving you advice, and somebody just tells you to get surgery. It is advice. It's bad advice, but if it's the only advice you get, it's something that you may take into your brain. That would have been a better example than your house being on fire.
Fire, you should come into your house and give you really specific instructions on how to Andrew Tate. It's so ambitious, but he's not really saying that I do that or like arguing that I do these harms or drag men to Andrew Tate. It doesn't feel like he's like looking at Andrew Tate or at the mechanics that would make people like him. It just doesn't really feel like he's paying attention to the material, really explaining how Andrew Tate ensnares people, what Andrew Tate's doing specifically, what sort of content the left should be making, right? And explaining like how the left doing that would work. I guess I just expected more explanation, more citation in this video, which is
Okay, I'm gonna end this video here. I kind of want you to understand the hyper focused, right? And that's kind of what the difference is between the left. Not just all the left, right? But like some of the left leaning people I follow, like Big Joel, Hassan, Vosh, Destiny at a certain point, whatever. He's on some other stuff. I'm not worried about him, right? But you feel how he's hyper focused on he himself and Andrew Tate. He can't fathom the fact that he and Andrew Tate are placeholders for their respective political ideals, right? Like he's saying, like, why isn't he saying what Andrew Tate? No, because Andrew Tate's he's a vehicle to discuss the differences between the left and the right. He's using you as a vehicle to show that you're uncommittal. You can't understand the broad general, which actually you're furthering. I'm just talking, right? You're furthering this in your video, right? You're unable to think broadly about how the average layperson may see something because you can only see something as how specific. It's probably really why you're so good at video essays, right? Because you can hyper focus on a subject, get granular, get into it. That's why I can watch a 2-hour video from Big Joel, and to me it feels like 5 minutes, right? Because he's passionate about being granular, right? And he's saying that Andrew Tate is so good at being so broad, right? He's, I know it. Allegedly, I don't say all this allegedly. He can call me out if he wants to if I ever get this big, right? I know his dad's disappointed in him, right? Like I always say, like it. Take this joke as how you will, right? I love to see black people in white spheres, right? I love to see black people in white dominated areas, right? And for all the things Andrew Tate has done, for all the things that Emory Tate Jr. has done, right? Like all the sex trafficking, kickboxing, Bugattis, wearing shirts that are way too tight for no reason, having no chin. I'm glad to see a young black man pretending he's not black for some reason, even though his dad is the blackest man I've ever seen, right? All of those things make me proud because it's good to see a black man be able to break into fields that I think only white people should be in, right? But if you would ask me, I know he misinterpreted something he said about, and again, he could be playing into the character, right? But he said like his dad, further far enough into this video that I can say whatever, right? He said, "Oh, back in the day, my dad said he hated niggas." Like he said, my bad." He said not with the A because there's a difference, right? It's the whole black people versus niggers thing, right? Like he said, like, "Oh, my dad back in the day said he hated niggers," like and there's a difference between black people and niggers, and we're black people, whatever, right? But he's on purpose misinterpreting what his dad said. His dad said like you exude a certain thing. It's not just if you act white, you can become a part of white society. He's saying like there are a certain type of us, of black people, who give all of us a bad name, and we need to do a better job of not being those people, but possibly, and I'm only speaking to what I think as an older black man or whatever, right? Like we need to do a better job of not only being not those people, but to instill better habits in our kids. And I know Emory Tate wouldn't look at Andrew Emory Tate Jr. and say this person is living up to the things that I would want my son to exude, right? And so if you spend any time thinking like that, then you're not worried about what Andrew Tate has going on. You're not worried about what he says. Like obviously, this fight he just had is a culmination of the bravado that he's putting out there in the world without having to back it up. Like half of the opponents, I think they said 56%, 57% of the opponents he had in his kickboxing career only have one fight. Andrew Tate, 0-1. So they fought him once, then decided that they didn't want to fight anymore. How do you build a resume off that? Because he's confident. He's loud, confident, and wrong as much as he needs to be. because there's somebody out there who just wants somebody to talk to them and speak to them, right? Now, if you need a left leaning voice to be that man, I'll do it, right? Go ahead, throw me some money, man. I'll be that person, right? I'll find a way to give young men uh, confidence to do what they need to do in a way that doesn't give them terrible misogynistic views on the world, right? But I'm the wrong person because I've got terrible misogynistic views, right? But it only takes a couple of seconds to realize what Adam something meant. Now, in another video, I'm gonna go over his stuff because he has some terrible advice. I'm just gonna give you a little like snippet, right? He said like, you don't text girls 4 days into after a date. Like once you have a date with a woman, leave them hanging 4 to 5 days so they want more. Oh my God, what terrible PUA video says it? But it actually only furthers what he's been saying in his videos, right? Where in that video where he said like there's not enough left-leaning people giving advice, that he had to make what he thinks is his own advice. And any regular person would go, "What do you mean? If you had a good time with her, you text her back immediately. You say, hey, man, I had a great time. Do you want to link up again? Is there anything I could have done? Like, and then she says, no, I didn't have a good time. Okay, man. Like, hey, for the next lady, is there anything that I can do better for her so I can, whatever, right? You can get some feedback, whatever. But 4 or 5 days, that's crazy, right? She's not gonna be interested in that because it doesn't show that you have the initiative. We can talk about that ad nauseum because because I don't mind saying it because it's not a personalization thing. You can't not text a woman for 5 days and her still be interested in you. In fact, if you cannot speak to somebody for a week and still just as invested in you as the day that you saw them, you don't want that person because they have nothing else going on. And if you wouldn't date somebody who had nothing else going on, why would you want that person? Simple things like that. I'm confident in saying that because the average person should want to hear that. So again, thanks for tuning into this video. I just want to kind of tap in on that. I do think the left needs advice as committal and as granted as people on the right do. People see that they don't think about the fact that just because you're in a relationship, like you've been married for 20, 30 years, they could hate you. You could hate that person, right? A lot of religious people, and I am saying a lot of conservative people are religious because they go hand in hand, right? Not all the time, but they do. They see divorce as a last resort, right? They could get married to somebody, get finessed, right? Like somebody who only married, like they married them because they thought that's what they had to do, whatever specific scenario they have, and they stay married to that person out of obligation. And is it worse to be divorced from somebody you don't want to be with, or is it worse to be married to that person until they die out of obligation? I don't know, right? But you have to take that advice. You have to look more into any person's situation before you take what they say, at face value. Everything's with a pinch of salt. But I do agree with Adam something on this respect that not giving advice. Look, like, and I know he's gonna. I know if there was anything that would ever lead me to be able to work with Big Joel, I'm gonna lose it in this video. But I stand on that, right? This entire video has been him being smug about his non-advice. If anybody was watching this and be the simple conclusion that I came to, that yes, you not giving advice, but knowing that people who are younger and inexperienced may need direction is exactly what Adam was talking about. Why wouldn't you just talk to him about it? It's something that is a big problem I have with people on the left. They rarely interact with people who they have disagreements with. They always make diss tracks about people without actually talking to those people. And it takes away some of their validity. But again, thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, hype my video up, reach out in the comments, tell me, hey, you were out of line or I do agree with this. I'll respond to as many comments as I can. I hope in a year when I go back and this video has $100,000 views and y'all help me pay off my house, that I can thank each and every person who helped me get to that point. Like I said, I'm branching out. It's not just going to be, Black diaspora content. We getting on that bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm interested in much more than that. You guys are gonna get to grow with me. You're gonna learn with me. I promise at some point we're gonna have high quality edit videos. You just got to give an old man time. One.